Man, it is going to be ugly. They're about to find out what happens to ratings when they lose the golden ticket. The news of Caitlyn Clark's injury sent shockwaves through the WNBA. Obviously, fans are upset, especially those who paid big bucks and now don't get to see her play. But for the old guard, it's their worst nightmare. Because even just a few weeks without Caitlyn is going to expose everything they've been trying to suppress. In fact, it already has. The economic fallout has already been absolutely brutal. And now there's a new report that quantifies just how critical she is to the WNBA's success. Her estimated value to the league is absolutely staggering. Just wait until you see the numbers. We are about to witness the biggest serving of humble pie in sports history. As for Caitlyn, there are not one, but two silver linings from her injury that are going to set her up for even more success when she returns. Let's unravel this entire complex narrative piece by shocking piece. First, let's quickly address the immediate, jarring reality, the injury itself. It's a left quad strain, a diagnosis that immediately tightens stomachs across the league, reportedly set to sideline her for at least 2 weeks. This isn't just any athlete taking a temporary break. This is Caitlyn Clark, a player who, despite enduring what many describe as relentless, borderline abusive physicality on the court, has been remarkably, almost miraculously durable. Until this moment, she had amassed an astonishing streak of 185 consecutive regular season and playoff games played, a testament to her resilience and sheer competitive will. Think about that. 139 games with the Hawkeyes, consistently leading the charge, then seamlessly transitioning to 46 grueling matchups with the Fever. This kind of consistent availability is unheard of in professional sports, making her current absence entirely new and unsettling territory. Sure, injuries are an inherent, unavoidable part of the sporting landscape. Athletes push their bodies to the absolute limit, and sometimes those limits are met. But when the undisputed face of the league, the single biggest draw, is suddenly missing significant time for the first time ever, it sparks a wave of genuine concern that transcends casual fandom. The critical question now, hanging heavy in the air, is just how serious is this? The current 2+ week timeline offers a sliver of hope, strongly suggesting it's a grade 1 strain. If true, this would be the absolute best-case scenario for a quick, unhindered, and complete recovery, allowing her to return to peak performance swiftly. However, regardless of the precise grade, the reality is clear. She's likely going to miss at least 4 crucial games. This includes 2 challenging matchups against the Mystics, one against the formidable Sun, and perhaps most notably, one against the Sky. And it's that Sky game that has everyone watching with bated breath. It's slated to take place at the massive 20,000-seat United Center, a venue switch explicitly made to accommodate the unprecedented demand for Fever games, a demand directly linked to Clark's magnetic presence. The real question isn't just if fans will show up, but how many. What will the atmosphere be like without the dynamic force that commanded that massive arena? We're already witnessing the initial telling signs of this fallout, and the deeper implications are something we'll delve into in just a minute. Now, of course, Caitlyn's health is paramount, always number one. But if you're a Fever fan, you're undoubtedly wondering about the immediate ripple effect on the team's performance. Well, here's your crucial dose of optimism. These next 4 games, despite Clark's absence, are still very much winnable for Indiana. This isn't a catastrophic derailment for the Fever season. In fact, upon closer examination, it increasingly appears that the Fever organization is making an incredibly smart, calculated, and long-term decision here. They are choosing to rest Caitlyn early in the season, strategically holding her back before the schedule truly ramps up, becoming a relentless gauntlet of back-to-back games. This isn't about short-term optics or pushing through minor discomfort. It's about safeguarding their most valuable asset. They're making the conscious choice to protect her now, when the risk is manageable and the stakes are relatively low, instead of forcing her to play through pain and potentially aggravating the injury into something far more serious down the line. We've seen this intelligent approach before, for instance, with Sophie Cunningham. There's that telling moment where Sophie Cunningham was literally dancing in the background, looking absolutely fine, brimming with energy, yet the Fever coaching staff still kept her out. Why? Because the season is still young, incredibly long, and their overarching priority is long-term player health, ensuring peak performance when it truly counts, not sacrificing it for fleeting, short-term wins. Knowing that the Fever organization operates with this big-picture, strategic mindset, it's not unreasonable to speculate that they might rest her for even longer than the initially reported 2 weeks, perhaps extending her sideline time to at least 3 weeks. This is their superstar, their franchise cornerstone. They have a veteran supporting cast this year who can and must step up in her absence, providing crucial depth and leadership. The unequivocally smart move is to ensure she is 100% fully healed, without any lingering doubts or risks of re-injury, before she steps back onto the court. However, it's still a tough pill to swallow, especially for those who held out hope for individual accolades. Her bet for her to win MVP died. Yeah, it's a harsh reality, but being out for 2 weeks, let alone potentially 3, essentially means you can't win MVP in the WNBA. That is one of the truly shocking ones. Many had predicted that Caitlyn, given her explosive start and undeniable impact, would be among the top favorites to win the MVP this season. But missing 4 to 6 games will undeniably, seriously hurt her chances. Now, it's vital to remember Caitlyn herself has stated many times that her sole focus is on winning, on team success, not individual trophies. So, while this MVP setback is disappointing for fans, it's very much a sacrifice she'll feel entirely comfortable making in order to return and play at full health when it matters most, in the crunch time of the playoffs. And as far as the long-term outlook goes, again, this doesn't appear to be a serious, career-altering injury. This is nowhere near the devastating level of an ACL tear or other structural damage. She can and will come back and still be the explosive playmaker, the explosive three-point shooter, the explosive, game-changing player that she is. While we're being told this isn't the exact same injury that hampered her during training camp, it's entirely possible that Caitlyn, being the fierce competitor she is, was playing through some underlying quad pain, and it simply reached a point where she had no choice but to take time off. If she was putting up solid, headline-grabbing performances on a bummed leg, just imagine the sheer dominance she'll unleash when she's operating at full, uninhibited health. This is the first undeniable silver lining. She's not just likely to come back. She's likely to come back stronger, more determined, and playing at an even higher level. I mean, she's already out there, back on the practice court, shooting threes, a clear sign of progress and recovery. From what we're seeing, this is far from a doomsday scenario for Caitlyn. It's a necessary, strategic speed bump on her path to even greater heights. Now, to truly grasp the second, even more profound silver lining, we have to shift our focus and confront the broader, seismic impact of her injury, understanding precisely why the WNBA, at this very moment, is in what can only be described as full-blown panic mode. I'm just going to say, I feel terrible for those legions of fans that spent so much money sacrificing their hard-earned cash, either traveling across states or paying premium prices at home, just to get a glimpse of Caitlyn Clark in action. Because for those fans, this freaking sucks. The WNBA, for the very first time in its existence, is about to get a raw, unvarnished taste of what life looks like without Caitlyn Clark. And the stark reality is, it's not going to be pretty. Let's start with the most immediate, high-profile example. She's almost certainly going to miss the highly anticipated June 7th game against the Sky. And if you cast your mind back, you'll recall that this particular game was not only moved, but massively upgraded. Shifted from the standard Wintrust Arena to the colossal 20,000-seat United Center. This unprecedented move was made literally to accommodate the overwhelming, unprecedented demand for Fever games. A demand that, let's be brutally honest, wasn't about the Indiana Fever team as a whole. It was singularly about Caitlyn. So, the question now looms. How many fans are not going to show up? The cynical projections are already rolling in. I reckon maybe 4,000 or 5,000 will show up. I reckon it'll be 2/3 full. With Caitlyn Clark, the main attraction, suddenly out of the lineup, the big question isn't whether attendance will dip, but how dramatically. Well, within mere hours of the injury news breaking, the response from ticket holders was instantaneous and telling. Fans are already frantically liquidating their tickets. And I genuinely think we could be looking at not half full, it's not going to be half full. We could be looking at 6, 7, 8,000 spare seats. I wonder what price tickets are now. The raw data doesn't lie. Indiana Fever ticket prices for games over the next 2 weeks have plummeted a shocking 42%. The average ticket price, once a healthy $137, has crashed all the way down to just $80. And when it comes to that Chicago Sky game that was supposed to be the marquee matchup in the WNBA season, those tickets are free-falling just as rapidly, dropping from a respectable $86 just 48 hours ago to a paltry $25. But beyond the empty seats and crashing ticket markets, the thing everyone will be watching even more closely, with almost forensic intensity, is TV viewership. The first Fever Sky game, featuring Clark, pulled in an astounding 2.7 million viewers, an absolute monster number, unprecedented for the WNBA. Fever Sky matchups, largely due to the Clark-Reese dynamic, have consistently been some of the most watched games in the entire league, breaking viewership records. But without Caitlyn, the cornerstone of that audience, those numbers could plummet into oblivion. And Caitlyn Clark's dedicated fan base, those who tune in specifically for her, are already making their grim predictions. Viewership down by 85%. See you guys in 2 weeks. Well, the WNBA viewership will be down for 2 weeks. Man, it is going to be ugly. It's not uncommon for WNBA games that don't feature Caitlyn to draw a mere third of the viewership, or even less. The league, some of whose leadership and veteran players have, frankly, acted pretty arrogantly, strutting around like they were the sole reason for all this unprecedented growth, are about to get a cold, hard, unavoidable reality check. Because fans, the lifeblood of any professional sport, are going to vote decisively with their wallets, with their eyeballs, and most powerfully with their remotes. And if you still harbor any doubt, if you need even more concrete evidence, just look at what was announced almost presciently right before the injury news broke. Caitlyn Clark's impact on the WNBA we knew was going to be big. Well, we now have an idea of just how big, and it's truly mind-boggling. The very same esteemed analyst, Ryan Brewer, who previously reported the astonishing fact that Caitlyn Clark was personally responsible for an eye-watering 26.5% of the WNBA's total economic activity in 2024, has just released a new, even more explosive report on her projected impact in 2025. And these numbers aren't just astounding. They don't just confirm her importance to the league. They absolutely blow it wide open. We're talking about one player whose presence is literally single-handedly reshaping the entire business model of the WNBA. Ryan Brewer, a renowned valuation expert who has been meticulously tracking the WNBA's meteoric growth, recently stated that Caitlyn Clark's value to the league this year alone could realistically exceed a staggering $1 billion. And what's even more remarkable, that's likely a conservative estimate. If things just continue on their current trajectory, as they were, I'm looking at $875 million. Brewer candidly told NBC News about Clark's potential monetary value for this season. And for the 2025 season, he added, quote, "And I could easily see that eclipsing $1 billion." Let that sink in. Just one player, one singular individual, potentially driving over $1 billion in economic impact. This meticulous analysis takes into account every conceivable revenue stream. The unprecedented surge in TV viewership, the explosion in ticket sales, the overwhelming demand for merchandise, the influx of lucrative sponsorships, the skyrocketing social media engagement. And when you meticulously crunch all those numbers, it converges on one undeniable, irrefutable conclusion. Caitlyn Clark is not one of the biggest financial drivers of the WNBA. She is the single biggest financial driver. While Clark's unprecedented popularity has undoubtedly created a rising tide, lifting all boats across the entire league, she remains undeniably one of one. As Media Sports Watch emphatically noted, out of the 24 WNBA broadcasts that garnered 1 million TV viewers, an astounding 21 of them, a disproportionate majority, included Caitlyn Clark. Now, the reason for this is simple, profound, and it's precisely why the WNBA is trembling right now. Because they're about to receive a stark, painful microdose of what life looks like without Caitlyn Clark. She is the crossover star, the elusive, generational talent the league has been desperately chasing for decades. She's the one who effortlessly bridges the gap, bringing in the casual viewer, the curious observer, the new fan, transforming them into engaged spectators. And now, the rigorous analysis definitively proves it. She particularly is the one who's driving a new kind of demographic that is reaching new kinds of people from the traditional WNBA fan base that is causing the growth rate and also accelerating interest in corporate sponsorships. This phenomenon, this seismic shift, bears an almost eerie resemblance to what happened with Tiger Woods in the 1990s when he burst onto the golf scene. He brought a level of athleticism, raw charisma, an utterly dominant performance that the sport had simply never witnessed before. His historic, groundbreaking win at the 1997 Masters, where he became the first black golfer to win the tournament and did so by a record-shattering margin, drew massive, unprecedented global attention and unequivocally signaled a brand new, transformative era for golf. Television ratings for golf tournaments skyrocketed whenever Tiger was in contention, often doubling, sometimes even tripling. He wasn't just a star. He was the singular, compelling reason casual viewers, who previously had no interest in golf, tuned in. He single-handedly took golf from a niche, exclusive country club sport and catapulted it into a global spectator event. And the money followed, a veritable flood. PGA Tour prize money tripled in just a few short years as sponsors and advertisers, eager to capitalize on the Tiger effect, poured money into the sport. Golfers across the board started earning significantly more, not because they suddenly got better, but because Tiger made golf matter on a global scale. And now, with almost uncanny precision, that's exactly what Caitlyn Clark is doing for the WNBA. I mean, just look at the mind-blowing revenue impact from her exhibition game against Brazil. The average reported ticket price for that single preseason game was an astonishing $650. Now, if you do the math here, 15,000 people attending times $650 per ticket. That calculates to almost $9.75 million in revenue from just one WNBA preseason game. And that's just one game. Now, beyond a league-wide impact, we're starting to see real, tangible reports emerge about how she's impacted the Indiana Fever organization in just a single season, and it is absolutely insane. All this is unequivocally good news for the Fever, which Sportico reported last year was worth a respectable $90 million. Brewer. So, maybe just maybe the league, its resistant players, and its often questionable leadership needs to truly feel the dip. They need to witness with their own eyes the numbers cratering. They need to confront the stark reality of those empty seats in once sold-out arenas and the undeniable plummeting of TV ratings. And maybe, just maybe, when the financial hit becomes undeniably painful, they'll finally be forced to clean up the appalling officiating while they're at it. Because let's be brutally real, the officiating in games involving Caitlyn Clark has been incredibly, glaringly one-sided, a clear bias that fans are absolutely done pretending otherwise. It's been another year, and another case of WNBA referees consistently dropping the ball, repeatedly failing to make the right calls when it comes to protecting Caitlyn Clark. Teams have been allowed, overtly and covertly, to take egregious liberties against Caitlyn Clark all season, with uncalled fouls, blatant shoves, and excessive contact becoming the norm. And it finally reached a boiling point in the recent game against the Liberty. The sheer physicality she endured, the shocking absence of calls, the blatant disregard for protecting the league's single biggest star. It all came to a head in a truly infuriating spectacle. But I will just say the lopsided officiating was absolutely insane. It was one of the worst ref games I've seen in recent memory. It got to the unprecedented point where Stephanie White, the respected head coach of the Fever, was forced to publicly, directly call out the officiating, a desperate plea for fairness. I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games, and the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. When a coach, typically reserved and diplomatic, is forced to speak out so forcefully like that, unequivocally, it has gone far, far too far. And bringing this critical issue back to the bigger picture, if this pattern of biased officiating continues to go too far, it doesn't just unfairly hurt Caitlyn. It puts the entire league at grave risk. And maybe, just maybe, it already has. But if anything, this painful period of absence should serve as an urgent, undeniable lesson to the league itself, and a harsh, much-needed lesson to the officiating body. Because the sheer amount of contact that is allowed without a foul call, the sheer amount of physicality that Caitlyn Clark has to battle through, routinely facing double teams and triple teams, and honestly, the consistent failure to call these blatant fouls needs to be immediately and thoroughly assessed. Caitlyn Clark is the league's star player. It's undeniable centerpiece, whether you like it or not. A serious, long-term injury to her, stemming from this lack of protection, would crush all the incredible progress the WNBA has made this season. All the unprecedented momentum, all the millions of new fans she's brought in, all the lucrative sponsorships. Everything the players themselves claim they want, everything they've been fighting for, would vanish. I just hope she doesn't get injured by all these fouls. She's already injured. Well, how devastating any injury that gets her actually taken out of a regular season game. How much money and loss is that for the league? The financial implications alone are staggering. And that, in essence, brings us back to where we are right now, at this critical juncture. We now know unequivocally exactly how much Caitlyn Clark is worth, not just in abstract value, but in hard, undeniable billion-dollar figures. And now she's out. We're about to find out, in real time, with stark, undeniable clarity, just how real her monumental impact truly is. And maybe, just maybe, this painful, undeniable demonstration of her absence will finally be enough to make the refs, the often hesitant WNBA leadership, and even some of the resistant players wake up, truly and finally, to the reality of their golden ticket. Because without Caitlyn Clark, this league, with all its recent unprecedented buzz, drops right back out of the mainstream. The vibrant energy disappears, the crucial money slows to a trickle, the hard-won momentum stalls, potentially grinding to a halt. This might just be the wake-up call they didn't want, the bitter pill they refused to swallow, but one they absolutely, unequivocally needed. And for Caitlyn Clark herself, in a strange twist of fate, this entire ordeal holds the ultimate profound silver lining. She's about to become even more relevant, even more powerful, and perhaps most importantly, finally, truly more protected. If you're still here, if you've absorbed every word of this crucial narrative, drop a goat in the comments, because that's exactly what you are for watching the whole thing. See you next time.